Okay, well, thanks everyone, and good morning to those early risers overseas in Australia. Gosh, it's like 5 in the morning there. Excited to hear from Terri Rechnor, somebody who's been a veteran of this industry from a support standpoint, management standpoint, advisory standpoint, and currently working very closely with Dave on the big picture. And so she's given them a lot of advice, and today she's going to give us all a lot of advice on this massive world of social media and the different generations that, sometimes it takes a little word or two different to be able to attract. So Terri, let's turn it over to you. We're all excited. I got my notepad ready, and we're in school, Terri. So bring it on.
So good morning, good early morning to everybody that's in Australia, and good afternoon to all you folks that I see that are in the Eastern time zone. Before I start with the training, I wanted to wish everybody what we say here in the US, happy March Madness. And it's already starting to get crazy here with these crazy sports people with basketball. So one of the things that Dave wanted me to remind all of you is his March Madness promotion. And when you place an order for a sports card, you're going to receive 2 random stars from that category in the new Collect Direct graded packs. And he showed me a picture of what the packs look like. So we've already placed our order. So I'm super excited to get that. So remember, March Madness with Collect Direct. Place your orders. If you order sports cards, you're going to get 2 cards that are going to be in the graded Collect Direct packs, and they're going to be randomly picked for you, and they'll be shipped out. So make sure you do that now. Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen, and I'm going to take my video off because I want to get started. So everybody, please get out your pen and paper like Dawn said. Dawn, can you see that, my screen? Can you see it? Dawn, I can't hear you.
Dawn is muted, but yep, I can see your screen.
Okay, perfect. So this is generational marketing. And it really, when you think about it, it's something that we've never really talked about or heard about much with Collect Direct, because a lot of what everybody's doing is they're going to, card shows and reaching out to groups. Well, this training today is a little bit different because it's going to open your eyes to what we mean by generational marketing. And hopefully you'll get some really good ideas and some key takeaways from this, because it's important that a lot of you are on social media now promoting Collect Direct. But for those of you that aren't, I want you to really look at this, because this is where people are going to shop to make their purchases. And for home-based businesses, this is really where people are going. Everybody's on social media. And believe it or not, there are over 250 social media platforms in the world. And we're going to show you on the different generations. So a lot of you on here fit into the baby boomers. You were born between 1946 and 1964. Gen X, born between 1965 and 1976. Millennials, born between 1977 and 1995. And Gen Z, born between 1996 to now. So when you look at this, there's over 302 million buyers just in the US that fall into these categories. And we're going to take a really close look at them right now. But before we do this, I want you to tell me in the chat, if you would please, are any of you marketing right now to the generations? And if you are, what generation are you marketing to through social media? And I don't see the chat. Dawn, is anybody writing in the chat? I want you guys to write in the chat where you're targeting right now. So are you targeting to baby boomers, to Gen X, millennials, Gen Z? And if you're not, hopefully at the end of this, you will be. I don't see, I can't see the chat. So, and Dawn, you're still muted. So can you tell me if people are putting something in that chat? let me see. So a lot of you, oh, wow. Okay, so wait a second. Baby boomers and Gen X from Real. Jimmy Weiss, all of them. Ken Starr, all of them. So a lot of you are, let me just mark this down. A lot of you are marketing to everybody. So Real, you are the first one that actually put down the market that you're going to. So that's good. And we're going to talk about this because it's going to be interesting for all of you that are putting down everybody. Just wait. Let me shut that down. Okay, so let's talk about the core values. And this is something that as we go through this, you're going to understand why this is so important. So the baby boomers, when you look at the market that's out there of those over 300 million, you'll see that 15% of them are baby boomers. And what they're focused on is they're focused on the service industries. They're looking for personal and social expression, health and wellness, idealism, and when we look at these, and this is what we're going to teach you guys today. So how does each of these generations relate to Collect Direct? So the boomers, here are some that will pertain specifically if you're targeting boomers through social media with Collect Direct. First is historical memorabilia. Appeal to baby boomers with items that capture significant historical events or periods they lived through, fostering a connection to the past. And that's really what we talk about, right? Bringing the past to the future here. A lot of them are into antique collectibles. Vintage entertainment memorabilia. Offer memorabilia from classic movies, TV shows, and musicians from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And you want to tap into the baby boomers' nostalgia for entertainment of their youth. Another thing that we all know is classic toys and games. And we have a lot of classic toys here. Baby boomers are attracted to vintage toys, games. They want to think about when they were kids and they played with these different toys or different games. And again, our big category, sports memorabilia. Cater to baby boomers with memorabilia from iconic sports stars and significant sporting events of their younger years, celebrating their sports heroes and memorabilia moments. I don't know. I mean, I grew up a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, so I can tell you the things that the Steelers did or the Pirates did. But when I listen to Dave, he knows what everybody did from the time I think he was a teenager. And when him and Dawn get on these calls, they just talk about hockey players and things like that. So a lot of you that are on this Zoom, you connect to a lot of this sports when you were growing up. So that's what the baby boomers are really connecting with. So think about that. Also, books and vinyl records. I know Dave has a lot of vinyl, and a lot of the baby boomers, believe it or not, are using their old record players. Record players are back in, and a lot of them are looking at collecting vinyl. Then you have Gen X, and they're flexible, right? They're free agents, they're independents, they have street smarts, and they are looking for work-life balance. And if you're going to bring a Gen Xer into Collect Direct, they want coaching and business training. So if you're going to bring them in, they want you to coach them and teach them. And that's something that we talk about in network marketing. A lot of these Gen X's that are out there that are looking for a home-based business or a way to make money, they have no network marketing experience. So if you're recruiting this age group, make sure that you're coaching them and you're training them. And here's some key areas for Collect Direct for Gen X. They're into iconic pulp culture memorabilia. So you're going to attract them with collectibles from movies, music, TV shows from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Classic sports memorabilia. Engage Gen X who are sports enthusiasts from iconic sports events and athletes from their era. Again, they're into music, vinyl, and any type of posters that you might have. And they love action figures and toys from the 80s or 90s. And I know Dave has a lot of toys. So that this age group, this Gen X, they want to live through their childhood with these action figures and classic toys. And they also like limited edition of art prints. So I know Dave is going to be adding more and more as this progresses. Now let's look at millennials. They make up 27% of what's out there. They're into social activism. They want freedom and flexibility, and they want to spend their time and their money on travel. They're not so much as into stuff as they are into traveling. And I remember when Dave and I started talking about this, we were talking about at some point, having different tours and having different experiences. Maybe it'll be baseball games around the country or football games around the country. That's something that when we look at doing that, this age group will really love that. And when you want to look at what the millennials will be interested in with Collect Direct, they're into retro and nostalgic collection. They want things from the 80s, 90s, and early 200s. And they want from when they were teenagers, right? A lot of them want to tap into that. They like limited edition and exclusive items. They're into tech and pop culture merchandise. So you want to cater to anything that's pop culture from their age. Also, they want experience-driven collecting, right? So we're back to maybe talking about, if you want to look at sports, maybe tie in sports, or maybe tie in, I know in Orlando, they have conventions for different toy collections and things like that. Maybe find a group that really wants to connect to toys, and you can give them an experience. And these are all things that Dave and Dawn and I have been talking about for future. So again, this is what the millennials, they want an experience. Now, Gen Z is 32% of this, and they want security. They're very conservative. They love bargains. They demand quality. And one thing, they are not brand loyal. So if you get a Gen Z on your team, don't let them down, because if you let them down, they're gone, and they will make note of it through social media. So this is a group that if you're prospecting to them and you sell to them as a customer, or if you sign them up as a member, you can't just sign them up and forget about them. So some of the things that interest Gen Z, comic books. They love comic books. They love sports memorabilia, and they love toys. So here's a group that, again, if you can bring them in and keep them, let's call it entertained, and keep them engaged, you will have them for life. So let's talk about now where you're going to find these people. So on social media, 90% of the millennials are there, 77% Gen X, 64% Gen Z, and only 50% of baby boomers. Now, I know a lot of you think that baby boomers just hang out on social media, but they don't. Only 50% of them do. So what are the reasons people use for social media? So if you look at this, if you look here, you'll see the different colors: Gen Z, millennials, Gen X, and boomers. And a lot of them, you'll see, they just jump on to share pictures. They want to hang out and chat with friends. Some of them want to get inspired. Some of them get all their news from social media. Some are how to get advice and how to. Some follow celebrities. Some get very political. Some want to expand a professional network. Some for influence, and others, they just want to get their media here because they don't trust what they see on television. And some of them just want to troll. So it's interesting when you see who uses social media. And we know right now what Dave is doing with Collect Away on social media is crazy. So if you're going to be on social media with what you're doing, you need to navigate this. And that's one thing that Dave has learned and he's doing with everything with Collect Away is he's been given a roadmap of how to produce his videos, and everything that he's doing has a plan. So today we're going to talk about what your plan is and how to navigate. So as I mentioned before, there's over 250 social media platforms. Obviously, we don't have the time to go through all of them. So today we're just going to go through Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. We're going to start with Facebook. So this is, if I know a lot of you are really heavy into Facebook. So let's talk about the demographics. Gen Z is less active compared to other platforms, but they use Facebook for groups, events, and a secondary platform. Millennials, a significant portion of Facebook's user base, uses this for brand engagement and for news. Gen X, they're highly active, engaging with long-form content, news, and using it for personal and business purposes. Baby boomers is the fastest growing user group on Facebook. And really, most baby boomers that I know, they're using it to stay connected with friends and family. And it's funny, I remember when Facebook came out, there wasn't a lot of us baby boomers on there. The minute we started to jump in, their kids started to jump out. So it's kind of funny how that worked. So let's talk about, if you're using Facebook, really what you want to do. So on average, users spend 33 minutes a day. There's 2.7 billion monthly users, and 96% of users access Facebook via their mobile device. So I know a lot of you, as soon as you get up in the morning, you'll check your phones, right? And everybody's using their phones. So remember that people are always on Facebook and on all of these. And if you look at it, if this is your age group, these are the demographics you want to know about. So now, how often should you post? Okay, so it's suggested that you post 3 times a week, at least 1 or 2 times. So when people ask me about that, I say, okay, let's talk about a strategy when you're doing this. So if you're going to post 3 days a week, you don't want to just be out there selling the products. You need to be out there connecting with the people. So maybe you have every Monday, it's, Monday quotes. Wednesday, you talk about a sports figure, but you really need to figure out what you're going to do. Now, believe it or not, there's the best times to post. So if you look at this, it's Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, Saturday and Sunday. And if you look at the times, it's really, really important. The worst time is a Monday and a Sunday at 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. So nobody is looking at their Facebook Monday nights, Sunday nights, and Monday nights, which I'm not really quite sure why. I think maybe it's because it's the start of the week. But if you look at this, it's really important to know, because this is when people are on, and it's the best time that they're going to see your posts. Let's talk about Instagram. And I know for those of you who don't know, Facebook and Instagram, it's the same, it's Meta. So if you're posting on Facebook, you can connect your Facebook with your Instagram. In case you don't know that, if you are on both, make sure you're connected. So when you look at this, the demographics, Gen Z, they're most active. They're drawn to visual content, stories, and expressing individuality. Millennials use Instagram for personal expression, brand interaction, content discovery, and they favor stories and IGTF. So they're favoring stories and content discovery. So if you're promoting to millennials, this is what's really important for them. They're on Instagram and they're looking to discover, collect, direct. Gen X, they're present, but they're less active. They typically engage with brand content and visual posts from friends and family. Again, brand content. Collect Direct is a brand. Baby boomers. Baby boomers are increasingly using Instagram mainly to view content from family and engage with lifestyle. Again, the baby boomers, and I know a lot of you on here are promoting to baby boomers, they mostly connect with friends and family. So the demographics. On average, users spend 29 minutes a day. There are 2 billion monthly users, and 90% of consumers follow brands on Instagram. Again, we are a brand, okay? And you have to remember that if you're starting to look at your roadmap, you really want to promote the brand. How often should you post on Instagram? It's suggested 3 times, and this is 3 times a week. but optimal once or twice a day on Instagram. If you want to build a following, you need to do that. But remember, don't ever post back to back. Like, don't post at 1 o'clock and then post again at 2 o'clock. You want to look at the times. And right here, it's Monday and Friday. If you look down here, it's 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. and Saturdays and Sundays. Worst time again, that's Monday and Sunday nights. And I'll make these slides available to all you guys, but we'll just keep going through it. But it's a lot to digest, but I want you to think about your roadmap. Let's talk about TikTok. Now, a lot of you really don't do much with TikTok, but Gen Z, this is the core demographic that's attracted to short form video content and expressive behavior on here. And I know Dave has a huge following now with his Collect Away on TikTok. Millennials have a substantial presence. They utilize TikTok for brand interaction and staying up to date with trends. And when they talk about brand interactions, I'm going to tell you this a couple of times. If you put a post on anything social media and somebody puts a comment or private messages you, you really need to engage with them. Make sure that your phone gives you all the alerts, or if you're using desktop, that you get the alerts, because it's very, very important that you engage back with them. If they send you a message or they put a post under one of your graphics and you don't comment, they won't be back. Gen X and baby boomers, it's really a smaller base, but it's growing, right? I know for me, I've been hearing about TikTok for a long time, but I haven't really engaged with it. I thought it was more for the younger crowd, but it's really becoming more and more popular. So let's look at TikTok. It has the highest usage. It's 43.72 minutes per day. It's got 1 billion users. So TikTok, of all 4 of these, TikTok is really the highest. We suggest 3 times, right? And as much as 5. Again, make sure that you're doing engaging TikTok, and you really want to be authentic with all of this stuff. The best time to post, you can see here, and it's really kind of crazy on this. But when you look at it, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Saturdays, for some reason, I guess people are out enjoying themselves. Saturday is not really the best day to be on TikTok. YouTube. I'll be interested to see how many of you guys do YouTube. So Generation Z, consumers with a wide range of content, including music, gaming, and educational videos. So maybe if you're doing Collect Direct on YouTube, maybe you can do something educational, right? You can show one of your cards, for example, and give the history of the cards. Millennials, they watch videos for entertainment, how-to guides, and product reviews. Gen X engages with content related to hobbies, news, and tutorials. And baby boomers, I know we do this a lot here. If we're looking for anything, how to do something, DIY is really big. And they use it for nostalgic content and instructional videos. It's funny how much stuff is really on YouTube. So if you look at it, it has 2.1 billion users. It's a little bit less time than you see on TikTok. It's 41 minutes a day. And the average consumer follows a brand on here. So just think about that when you talk about putting anything for us for Collect Direct on here, because you're going to build the brand. And that's really, really important. So on YouTube, at least once a week, you want to post. And as much as 3 times if you're doing shorts, which is just a really short content. You want to make sure that when you're doing the YouTube, I think on YouTube, they even have where they'll do the wording for you automatically. Because a lot of times it's funny how many people look at YouTube when they're at work, right? A lot of people have told me that they go to YouTube when they're at work. So think about that. The best time, Monday to Friday, 2 to 4, Saturdays and Sundays, 8 p.m. to 11. So it's almost like late afternoons and late evenings on Saturday and Sundays, the worst time to post is the morning hours. And I know from everything I've read about YouTube that a lot of people are really looking at YouTube when they're at work in the afternoons, right? I guess the mornings times, everybody that's actually in an office, they want to pretend like they're really working. So they're not looking at YouTube on their phone so much. But I know from everything that I've read that there's a lot of people that are using YouTube when they're at work, just to see what people are doing and to engage in that kind of stuff. So let's talk about who your target market is now. So I know a lot of you said everybody initially, right? But now that we've gone through this, I want you to think again. Think about, are you going to just concentrate on one, or are you going to concentrate on maybe two? And if you're going to concentrate on two, how are you going to concentrate on those? Right? That's what we want to talk about. So I'm going to stop sharing this. So when you looked at all of this, so who on here, and maybe one of you can raise your hand, you can all raise your hand. When we first started, you put down what you were, who you're targeting now. I think some of you put maybe baby boomers. I think a few of you put everybody, right? You're targeting everybody. But the thing about social media is you can't just throw it out there and expect to hit everybody, because every generation looks at social media differently. And we can drill down on this a lot more, but I didn't want to overwhelm everybody today with this. I just wanted to give you something to think about. And then I'm going to talk to Dave and to Dawn. Maybe in a couple of weeks, we'll come back and revisit and drill down on the actual age groups. So all of you, I just put up your hand if you can. How many have changed what they were thinking? Like if they said, I think Rial, you said baby boomers. I think, didn't you put in the beginning, you put baby boomers as yours? And maybe Gen X or Gen Z, something, I can't remember. Are you still thinking the same way now? Yes. And I think it's, so Tony, you changed. Okay. So Tony, you changed. What were you first? If you can put what you thought first and what you think now. So you initially you thought baby boomers, and what are you thinking now? I'm looking in the chat. And maybe you can unmute him. Dawn, can you unmute Tony? Now 40 plus crowd. And who else other than Tony has changed what they were thinking? I'm looking in the chat.
This is Tony. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you now. So
I'm a baby boomer, and when I got my packet the other day, it kind of brought me back 30 years of my life. I felt like I was 30 years younger when I opened up the packet from Collect Direct. And I'm saying, wow, I can imagine how many of my cousins, nieces, or sorry, my cousins and aunts and uncles would feel the same way. But now listening to you, I'm starting to reminisce about the way my nieces and nephews who are in their 30s act, and the way they're all over this stuff. And I'm thinking, wow, I just love what you just did, because you've helped me maybe open up a whole new generation to relate to them because of the way you're talking, how they, remember how you said they don't have, they're not loyal. That's so true. They're not loyal to a brand. I see that all the time with young people. So thanks for all you did, Terry. It was right. It was great.
thanks. So I can tell you that we're going to drill down more. I talked to Dave about this morning, actually, and I said, this is such a heavy conversation to have, because the first time I did a training on generational marketing, I'm like, what the hell is generational marketing? I mean, like right over my head. I had no idea, right? And I just think baby boomers. Everything's, for me, I'm a baby boomer, so I relate to baby boomers. But Tony, just like you, when I went through a training on this, I thought, oh my God, it's not just baby boomers, right? Like I looked at who else can I target, but then I have to remember we baby boomers think a certain way. And what I just went through were the basics for every generation, because you can't be speaking to a Gen X the same way you're speaking to a Gen Z. And if you do, you're going to lose them. So that's why the messaging for each generation is so very important, right? Like if you don't know, it's like we always say, you don't know what you don't know. And if you don't know that each generation is really different, how much time they spend, where they hang out, and you have to be authentic, right? I think the first thing when you're doing social media, you can only pretend so long to be somebody else, and then it's going to catch up with you. So if you're targeting an age group, you have to be authentic to that age group. You can't go out and talk to like a millennial like you talk to a baby boomer, because they're out of here. And whatever your message is, you have to stay true to it, and you have to stay authentic, because they will see through it. And one thing that we talk about this a lot is this whole network marketing thing, right? So you don't want to just look at network marketers. Right now, it's the gig economy, it's the side hustle economy, and you have to start thinking like that. Get out of your comfort zone. A lot of you guys, I know I listen to a lot of the Zooms, and everybody's kind of like in their safety, secure area. If you're going to go on social media, you don't have to be safe and secure there. You need to decide what message you're going to deliver, and you need to be true to that message. And when you look at what we have, we're a buyer's club. People love buyer's clubs. I know, like for pets, right? They want a box to come every month, or they want to pick the toys that they're going to get for their dogs, or they know that, like for kids, I know my nephew has stuff that he picks out for his son every month. Toys come that are specific for him. He picks them out and they come. He's in some type of a buyer's club. And that's really what's so unique about Collect Direct. This package that we have, this $29.98, it's a way that people can get engaged, and they can stay engaged for $30 a month. And then remember, if they join and they want you to coach them, you have to plug them in. And we will get better at the whole training and the coaching as things progress. So Dave is spending a lot of time on Collect Away, as you know, but a lot of that's going to cross over to Collect Direct. And we will be ready. There's a lot of stuff going on in the background that you guys don't know about, and I can't tell you as much as I'd love to, but we're going to have more and more, so that it's a safe place for people that want to come and they want to learn about home-based business. And they don't want to have to take a lotion or a potion or anything or pills every month to stay qualified, right? This is something unique. Comic books. There's a comic book store right down the street from where I lived. I've never even noticed it. And then one day I was just looking through all the windows, and I saw comic books. It's a thing. I mean, there's comic book stores. There's sports memorabilia stores. Everybody knows about all the sports card collections that people are in Florida. It's crazy. I think every month there's some show somewhere. But today was more to get you out of your comfort level and think about what's out there, because social media isn't going anywhere. And it's one way that you can sit at home. You want to keep your robe on, if you want to have a cup of coffee, whatever you want to do, you can run your business. And that's what's so beautiful about what we do, right? So again, I'm going to follow up with this, but I want you all to think about what we went over today. We'll have the Zoom is going to be posted. I'll have the slides so that Dawn can post those too. And then in a couple weeks, we're going to go through and I'm going to drill down a little bit more on this. But before we go, Dave wanted to give away 5 gifts. So what I did, that I talked to Dawn this morning. So I did something a little different. So the first people that popped up when we opened the room was Al and Jan Martin. So you win the first gift. So if you would just send your names, I wrote them down, but send them to support@Collect Direct. Then I put in, where are you logging in from? So the first person was Ken Starr. So Ken, you're the second winner. And then I asked, the first question was, who are you targeting with your generational marketing? And Rial was the first person to put up who she's targeting. And then I asked, okay, now that we've done this training, our first training on generational marketing, Have you changed anything? So Tony, you're the first one that said yes. And the second one is Constance. So you guys, so those are the 5 winners, and that's how we picked it today. I thought we'd do something different rather than counting across the screen. So this just makes you want to be the first next time, and also participate, because if you participate and you write stuff down, you're going to win prizes. And before we leave, I want to remind everybody about the March Madness promo that Dave's offering. Remember, if you order any sports card collection, anything, you're going to get 2 new Collect Direct rated card packs. So I know we just ordered ours. I can't wait to see what surprises we get. So please, that's the March Madness. It's really big here in the US. I don't know, do you Canadians celebrate that March? You do?
Yep.
I don't know. I know it's a big deal here. Does anybody have any questions before we go?
Terri, I'd love to just comment. It was an awesome presentation, and I love the fact that you're going to allow the team to get a copy of that. We'll post it into the Facebook group as soon as we can download that to the Google Drive. But my comment on what you shared there, same as Tony's, was an eye opener. And I can tell you that in the early days of Collect Direct, and this is just to go back for all of you that have been here for a while, we made a lot of mistakes. We really did. And we recognize that. And that's why we use this term. It's not an original, it's out there, course correcting, which is to, get us right for the future. And what we're discovering is exactly what you said. Some of the youth that came here early, we didn't keep them engaged. So their brand loyalty went away, and they just think, oh, well, that's just nothing. Well, guess what? We're learning all along. And Terri, you just opened my eyes even further. And I'm sure, the marketers that are helping Dave are going to take this information as well, or already know it. We've got to get really good at that brand loyalty part, and then continue to offer training and things for them to learn with us. And we always say learn and earn, but I think what you did is lay it down in a real simple term. And I appreciated that. So I'm looking forward to getting the slides, my friend, and sharing them as soon as we can. That'd be awesome.
Well, another thing too is we will have social media pages, right? Because I know that's everybody wants that, and it's on the website, but it doesn't connect. So if it says coming soon, because we want to make sure that the brands align, and this is something that I've really talked to the corporate team about. So Dave Jordan is a brand now. Collect Away, Collect Direct is a brand. Those brands have to align. And when they align, that means that the social media that comes out of corporate has to be really cohesive and consistent, and something that you guys will be able to share and you'll be able to make sense. Right now, there's nothing, because we're not there yet, right? And we're still formulating how we want to do it. And it's all going to be really driven by Collect Away. And so when you look at that, like when I talk about your strategy, it's the same thing with Dave's strategy. Collect Away has a strategy, but Collect Direct will align with that strategy, and everybody will be able to benefit from it. And if you lost somebody before, you do have a chance to go back once we're out there in the public domain and everybody can see how cohesive and the messages that we're delivering, right? Because I know a lot of you love going to the events, but for those of you that don't love going to the events, social media is the only place you can really go find your tribe and find out the people that you want to attract. But I can't stress enough, you've got to be authentic, because if you're not, they will know it, and you have to be consistent in your messaging. And social media is the way to drive home-based businesses right now. So I wanted to try and stick to 30 minutes. I knew it was going to be difficult, but we are definitely going to drill down a little bit more on this, because I really want you to think about what we've gone over today. If you want to watch the Zoom again, if you want to look at the slides, and then if you have any questions, Google it, right? I Google everything. If I want to know anything, I Google it to see what Google has to say. But we really want to drill down a little bit more after you decide if you changed from just one group, or maybe you've added a second group that aligns together with what you want to, the message you want to deliver, then I think that's great. But this is the first start for what I hope will be a little bit more learning for you guys on generational marketing. So I want to thank everybody for being here. Don't forget March Madness, right? Those 2 free cards you're going to get in the Collect Direct packaging. I think it's going to be awesome. I mean, Dave's getting a lot of people really loving what that pack looks like. So I'm excited. So everybody have a wonderful Saturday, a great weekend. I hope it's not raining where you are. I know we're having a lot of rain everywhere. And I hope it's not still snowing in Canada. It's always snowing in Canada, though, I think. So everybody have a great weekend, and thanks very much for attending today's training. Bye.